Hi, this is Ken Novak again. Following up on earlier discussions that we had about using Lucidspark for a thing which in my classes I called Spark discussions, I'm using a customized template to guide students through a 50-minute discussion. And what I want to show you in this video is an extension of that into a different type of assignment. So this is a kind of an overall shot of different things that we talked about in the earlier videos, all the way from team building to the kind of the work distribution, then actually into that middle section there, which is the Spark discussion. The one on the very bottom third of this screen is basically what we're going to look at today. And I keep the same template, the same type of approach. And now what students are doing for me is we read a text, and they actually explicate the chapters as teams. And so each team will have a chapter, but as you can see, it still follows in this purple, orange, green, blue frame of the Spark discussions, which they had already done earlier in the semester when we had 3 weeks of Spark discussions. So this is the framework by which we're kind of focusing on where we're going from here. And as you can see, if you listen to the earlier videos, it follows that kind of that same type of idea. The purple content is basically everyone's purple. We talked about this. And for this case, it is our text. And more specifically, it will be the chapter that has been assigned to the team. The orange is the understanding section of it. The green is to cultivate curiosity with your discussion questions. And the blue is to actually apply a model or synthesize. In the case of my chapter explication, more than just kind of explaining what the chapter is, I want them also to apply the chapter. And so this blue section of synthesis is involving watching a documentary on an ethical case study or an ethical situation in business. This was for a business ethics class. And so therefore, then they take that documentary and they actually apply it to some of the points that they make in their presentation of the chapter. Those all come from, this is a little different looking frame, this orange frame down here. There are 6 different teams, and each one of them has a different ethical case study. And so they will all kind of follow. They pick the one that applies to their chapter, and then they'll do that from there. Up here, what I want to focus on in the purple, again, this is the textbook. In this case, we were looking at Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game. And each team had its own chapter. And more specifically, we use this type of word breakout diagram that is also a template that's on Lucid. And what's really helpful for this is it's not great. None of this is, in a sense, like a grade per se from the aspect of like how the board will be graded. The Lucidspark board is there, and they use it as a means and a tool to help get their deliverable, which is a 50-minute discussion on the chapter that they all lead and organize and collaborate upon. But this is a main tool, and actually almost, I could tell you all my teams in the semesters have used this to kind of break apart the key quotes in the text. Why is that important? Because when they actually do present, they'll be here in the orange section. They'll use the storyboard template that Lucid provides, and they'll go ahead and use, just like I'm doing right now with presenter, the presentation builder. They'll go in slide by slide, and they'll slide through the storyboard and talk about the specific aspects that they wanted to draw out for the chapter. And so the first part of it will be for them to orient us toward what the chapter was, what the main points were, and then it would seem like it would flow into discussion questions, which it could, it possibly might, but it doesn't necessarily, because actually they will usually slide over here to talk about their documentary. And as they talk about the documentary, they will apply that back into the chapter, and that's a lot of times what generates the discussion questions. So the discussion questions are again, left up to them. Lots of student agency in this. They'll do that. They come up with the discussion questions as well. And there's just 4 of them for each team. So basically, again, that's what the whole thing kind of looks like. They'll draw from all of this, and they'll keep a very similar pattern. The wonderful thing about it is they've already done this for 3 weeks of the course. This feels very familiar to them. They know how to use the tool. They also know how the format is laid out, and how it progresses and how it all integrates into the time that they have together. So overall, this is an overarching look of the entire board and how it's kind of progressed over the different aspects of the semester.